cats, cops, and C4. I should have known. All the shows and movies keep saying that police work is exciting, but it's just paperwork after paperwork. Is it any wonder why so many women opt to be mercenaries instead? Vera complains as both Linda and Chank are bent over data slates and carefully reading documents before filing out the proper forms for things back at the station. Mercenaries still have to deal with logistics and legal wrangling, Chank remarks as he goes over his own. As nice as having Argus for information was, he wanted the guy to have a bit more examination, so he was letting the intelligence division know and see what they can spot. There were just too many little things that were having Chank's neck hairs stand up around the guy. He was far more than he seemed. Really? When? Logistics is where they get replacement parts for their gear, food for their stomachs, clothes for their backs, and more. It's a way to say getting supplies and keeping them coming. I thought that was quartermaster duties, Vera mutters. That's the stuff above the quartermaster. Or rather, the quartermaster and other supply officers are part of it. How do you not already know this? This is pretty basic military knowledge. Chank asks and Vera shrugs. I spent most of my time mastering my war form. It's hard to stay focused like that. I left clan affairs to smarter women and just did my best to be the best I could be. Another shrug follows. I never really bothered with other bits because they're always taken care of, and coming down from the war form leaves you really dizzy and nap happy unless you're used to it. Something to consider. Chank notes as he gets a confirmation back from intelligence. Right, that's me done then. Linda, is there anything I can help with? No. Well, there is something. But it shouldn't be too much of an issue, Linda says as she puts down her current data pad and turns to a computer. A bit of quick typing and she withdraws a data chip out of a port that she tosses to Chank. Thank you for reminding me earlier that you're combat trained. Hit the streets around those areas and give me a report on any trouble or gang signs. Even with the Shroud being confirmed as an actual problem, it doesn't mean we ignore the politics and movements of the gangs. And the chances of getting into a fight? Vera asks excitedly. Low. These are low-end gangers, nothing too big, but their movements let our analysts know a great deal. She explains as Chank goes over the data on his communicator. Sure. I suppose you do need some quiet and maybe a break from our combined crazy. Chank offers. Yes, please, Linda says, and Chank chuckles and makes sure to give her a kiss on the cheek as he leaves. Come on, let's go. Maybe we'll be lucky and find a gang war. Vera cheers and Chank chuckles as he follows her out. Remember to leave the spires standing in your wake, Linda calls out in a teasing tone. No promises. Chank calls back and he can almost make out her rolling her eyes in response. Vera climbs into the driver's seat only to be picked up and placed in the passenger seat as Chank gets into it. She then goes into the glove compartment and pulls out the spare pistol. That's a Magnum Vera. It's got serious kick and my brand won't protect me from it. Oh, fine. Besides, things are more fun with my claws and fangs, Vera says, tucking it back in as Chank takes off and begins driving. She stares out the window, watching a lot of different cars pass by and letting out a confused sound. Vera, not that I mind you standing up that much as it puts that bouncy ass of yours near me, but what is so interesting that you're making those kind of noises? Chank asks, and Vera sits down. I don't know. What do you think? Something is up, she says. Trust your instincts. They're wiser than people give them credit for. There's danger, but it's not direct, maybe not here yet, she says as Chank pulls in on the first block there to give a walk around. That means you noticed a pattern that you recognize as a danger sign, but it went by so fast or was so subtle that you didn't actively pick up on it. I know that, Vera grumps. I'm lazy, not stupid. Lazy? You've got an all-natural 8-pack. That's not lazy, Chank says. Lazy thinker. I like things simple, direct, and fun. Vera replies as she doesn't so much step out of the car as clamber onto the roof and then closes it with her foot. All right, diagonal blue slash over two red slashes, also diagonal but in the opposite direction. Venspire Vagabonds. Apparently they haven't been so bold before. Chank remarks as he takes a picture and texts it to Linda. The text he gets in return is incredulous and demands to know if he picked up some human trick for attracting trouble. "Left it back on the Dauntless," he says as he texts it back and then pockets the communicator again. Vera and Chank begin walking into the spire, and Chank notes that the vagabond markings are all over the place, and brazenly so. After merely a block, Vera nudges Chank and nods towards an alleyway. There is a greater desert Nagasha painting the markings. Two things stand out. The first is her face paint. It's completely covering her. She's totally focused. The second is her clothing, a hooded black jacket over the rest. Chank takes a picture and begins walking up. He runs a finger down a small Kutha chain hanging from his belt. Third link down, and he begins to channel axiom through it. He begins to fade from sight. "Stay here." "Oh, that's no fun." Vera sulks as Chank begins taking more rounded, gentle steps and slips in right next to the Nagasha before taking out his communicator and turning on its recording function as he tucks it into his breast pocket. The improv body cam trick has become increasingly popular among the undaunted. She looks from side to side and then pulls out a communicator. "It's done," she says into it. The Vagabonds will be forced into a turf war with their new sign stretching into Rolla territory. They give the communicator to the good officer, a synthesized voice says from the other line. The voice is deliberately inorganic sounding. It's very clear that literally anyone could be behind it regardless of species. "What?" the Nagasha asks in shock. "To your left. Hold out the communicator so the officer can take it." The person on the other end says. She does, and Chank grabs the device as he lets his veil of invisibility drop. Very clever. Chank congratulates them, making a point to hold the communicator near to his own so it can pick up everything clearly. Would that I could say the same of you. Still, I suppose that for someone who specializes in demolitions and sifting through the rubble that this is rather subtle and proactive. So congratulations are in order. How the speaker is able to fit that much smug arrogance into a flat monotone is downright baffling. Right, so, shall I refer to you as Mr. or Mrs. the Shroud? For completeness' sake, I assure you. Brent asks as he starts wandering back towards Vera, the Nagasha following behind, looking uncertain, outraged and frightened at the same time. Clearly she's been threatened fairly thoroughly to not do anything stupid. That was an outright pathetic attempt to figure things out. "I'm actually disappointed," the Shroud remarks. "Shroud will do if you require some form of familiarity." "Of course. So the question is, what do you want?" Chank asks as he approaches Vera, who mouths the Shroud, and he nods. "Oh, many things." The Shroud answers. "Name them. There are legal ways to get what you want after all, and if you're willing to play—" "No, I will not." The Shroud interrupts him. "Don't mistake me for some short-sighted fool that has not thought things through. If I wanted something in a manner the undaunted or the legal authorities could provide, I would have gone there. However, I am after something else. And no, I will not tell you what it is. That defeats the point of operating in shadow and using both a voice synthesizer and pseudonym." "I'm sure it does, Argus," Chanks says, and there's a pause. "Argus?" the Shroud asks. "Yes, I'm accusing you of being Argus," Chanks says, grinning as it all seems to fall into place. After all, with all the time on his hands, connections and know-how, Argus would be in a perfect position to benefit from infighting and chaos. Interesting choice of words, but no. I am not Argus, that pathetic Carib man with nothing but a sob story and the pity of petty criminals to his name. Although on the topic, Did you know he's centuries old and simply likes to rejuvenate himself to a very young state? That he breaks that antler deliberately in order to appeal to the pity of petty fools? He's even less than a pawn. He's the parasite of a pawn, an intestinal beetle of a man, and yet also in the perfect position to benefit from the chaos you're formulating. Chank notes casually. An interesting provocation attempt. But no, you're, let me check a list of human sayings, barking up the wrong tree? I thought you evolved from apes, not canines. Domestication. Canines were one of the earliest and most successful domesticated life forms. Chank replies as he considers things for a moment before snorting. So, how many proxies are you calling from? 3 I'll admit to, more to be sure. It appears I must adjust my evaluation of your intelligence upward slightly. Chank says as he considers the situation. He's going to need a backup communicator to scan things like this properly. He can't start trying to mess with this one while his is in recording mode. So, is there anything you wanted to say to me in particular, or is this just a social call, Shroud? Oh yes, hold on a moment, I have several dastardly speeches prepared ahead of time for this situation. It's a bit impersonal, but I don't think you'll take offense to that. They're even pre-recorded, so I'll have it play out while I grab a drink. The Shroud states, "You have got to be... Hello, foolish insert title here." The speech begins and Chank's jaw drops. You have no doubt encountered my insert appropriate minion type here, in the midst of insert task here. Know that your insert reaction here has done little more than accelerate my plans and serve to aid me insert objective here. Now, a fool such as yourself may expect to have some prayer as to stop me, but I assure you that my insert goal here is inevitable, and all of your pathetic efforts to stop me shall only feed into my grand plan. You are already an asset and you don't even know it. Have a good day, insert title here. What? Chank demands in shock as Vera stifles her laughter as hard as she can. What indeed? Did you really think I cared enough about you to personalize this? Oh no, you have to be a much bigger thorn in my side for me to bother adding your name or an actual detail of value to a speech. Anyways, I've given you far more time and attention than you deserve at this juncture. Have a wonderful day, and best of luck, little human. That son of a... Chank begins before the communicator starts vibrating before he throws it, and it goes off in a blast of plasma. That fucker torched the... that is clever. So where do you think you're slithering off to? Vera asks as she pulls the Nagasha into a headlock. We need to have a talkie-talk. Indeed. Cooperate and you won't be hurt, Chanks says as he finishes the recording and turns the communicator to call the station. Hello, could you send a car, please? We've caught a Nagasha in the act of public vandalism and they're connected to another source of crimes. How connected? She gave me a communicator that I got an entire evil speech out of by another criminal operating under the pseudonym The Shroud. The ETA is 5 minutes and Vera is just smiling at the silliness that happened. And you said that police work wasn't exciting. It's not supposed to be. If police work is exciting, then someone, somewhere has screwed up. Chank replies and Vera just lets out a satisfied giggle. Well, it happened anyways. That was funny. The look on your face as that speech went off was one of the best things I saw in a while. Vera taunts him even as the police cruiser descends on their location. Really? I need to step up my game then. Spar after dinner? Chank asks, and Vera perks up even further somehow. Oh, that sounds amazing. Yes, please.